Okay, this is number 4. This is a special follow-up since I just went through the 3 uh, tape segments, and I'm going to try to fix the mistakes here. So what it is what's going on is with this diagram here. For those of you who want to really know this stuff, and once you know it, once you know these patterns, first of all, and then start playing them and stacking one on top of another. 7 will go, this is perfect fourth, so 7 will go to a 3, that's a perfect fourth. R goes to a 4, it's a perfect fourth. But then when you put this 2, 3, 4 on top of the 6, 7 R, 6 goes to 2 is a perfect fourth, and R goes to 4 over here is a perfect fourth. So they stack up like this, all right? And the question is, do you have to start on the bottom note? Let's say this is the bottom string. If it is the bottom string, it would be down here, okay? And here's a C, all right? And the third would be, oh, okay. With the C, it goes. The third of C would be over here. I don't want to waste time on this really. So let me just focus on this particular chart. So if I wanted to start the pattern from the bottom string, all right, it would be 3, 5, 6 R, which is the S2L. All right, and 6 strings up would take you to the 3rd and the 5th again, right? You see how it repeats on its own almost? Isn't that amazing? If I take this square right here, 7R2, which is the top of the S3S, and 3, 4, 5, which is the bottom of the S2L, and I warp these over, okay? I warp this guy right here over 1, so it's sitting like right that. That would be your C shape, okay? And that's what the C shape would look like. There it is warped over, see? So we pretty much got the same thing. 3, 6, 2, 5, 3, 6, 2, 5, and then it warps over. So now instead of the R being above it, the 7's above it, and the R is over. So if you wanted to go 5 to the R, you'd have to warp over like that. So not until you hit a warp of some kind, and what I mean by some kind, I'm talking about, let's say we want to start the pattern from anywhere, all right? Now we can do it 2 ways. I can say, let's just say this isn't the bottom string. Let's say this is the 3rd string up. Okay, so what's that look like up here? Okay, so here's the third of C is the E, right? The green note right there. All right, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Okay, so that's the bottom part of the C right there. This is the unwarped region anyway. So it's 3rd, 4th, 5th. Okay, say we want to start that. All right, we want to start that here on string number 1, 2, 3, and 4. We want to start it there. We want to start the pattern there, the entire pentatonic scale. Because when you see somebody, on YouTube or something say, I'm going to do a C pentatonic scale, guess what? Guess what? It's going to be like something like is what they're going to play. But if you find one of those E's somewhere else, like on the 3rd string, which is all the way down here, there's an E there, and you start this same thing, guess what? There's your C, but then you have to warp it. So the question is, what caged shape is that really part of when you're talking about 6-string cage shapes? And it looks like it's part of an A. You see how we started a C pattern that became part of an A. So what do we draw from this? What can we draw from this? And that worked good. but beware of things that work good, because then it'll set you up. I don't know what it is, but bad luck will set you up for something that doesn't make any sense. That did make some sense. Lots of things make sense to me. That's why I keep doing this stuff. So anyway, suppose we say that this is going to be the third string, and like we just did it on the guitar. So the fourth string would be the same, but then the fifth string, would be warped over. So here it is up here on this A, because now we know it's in A, so we'll cheat and we'll go to the A diagram already. So say we're starting a C pattern. A C pattern is definitely the third, the fifth, the sixth, and the root. But now we hit the warp on in between strings 4 and 5. I call them, other people would call them strings 2 and 3. But I consider the low bass string, string 1, and the high string, string 6. That's just the way I am, because you start bass 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the way I do things. So the warp comes earlier, and it kind of warps into an A shape. That's what it is, because remember the C shape. Over here we start 3, 5, 6, R, and then 2, 3, 4. So if we started that here, remember all these patterns are the same. They just stack up. So it's 3, 5, 6, R, but up. Hit warp early. We're not going straight up to the 2 as we do in the C. Everybody loves to get back into that tight little ladder part of the C. Ladder, I mean la. This is, and then, but what's coming at the top is the offset on the R, because because of the warp anyway, right? We always thought it was just, oh, that is the root. Yeah, it is the root, but it's a warped root. So that's what this pattern tells us. This diagram in a diagram. The start string cage stack. Okay, so it's whatever string you start. We'll try one different one. Okay, suppose we wanted to start on this one right here. You see how this says D2 like that? Suppose we wanted that to be our bottom bass string. So we're going to look at the D. We're going to look at the D shape, because the chart already tells us that it's D. We already know. So we want, no matter what we do, no matter what key it is, if it's the second scale degree, if it's the key F sharp, the second scale degree would be G sharp. You know what I'm saying? No matter what scale it is, if you start on the second scale degree and follow the patterns. Okay, so this is an S3S right here. Okay, so let's look at D. We'd start with an S3S right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, R2. All right, but that's if it's the bass string. What if we said this was string 3? If we said, well, an easy way would look at these patterns and find me one that has a 2 on string 3. C has a 2 on string 3, right? So really, that's a C pattern. So if you started any key up and down, any key, the 12 keys, up and down the neck on that third string, just that was the second of that key, and went up following the patterns and the warp, you would be making this, you'd be doing the top part of a C pattern. So that's what this is saying. So you can start it anywhere you want, as long as you follow this diagram here and you warp it when you get to the warp. So it helps. It does help. It helps you play like that. And I think we've got about 30 seconds. So again, this has been like an extra recording to fix some of the errors that I had. Sorry about the trumpet valves. But essentially, my instrument is an A-flat instrument. For those of you who know what that means, that means when I play a C, it's really coming out an A-flat.